All right, so we began the stream again. I stopped it, started it again. We're going to see what happens with YouTube. That's what I'm saying. We need to start using our own stuff. It's unfortunate everybody's over here, but shoot, as things keep rolling, I'm just going to set up our own stream. So that way we don't have these cheap technical issues that YouTube got going on. So let's see if this comes through live now and if it's happening. Let's see if the sound is checking. And yeah, let's see what it is. See what it is. You know, that's all we can do. So yeah, let me take a moment. Also, if you start getting sound, let me know because everything's on a lag sometimes. So I would start when we know that this thing is coming through. All right, somebody said there's video and sound. That's what's up. So we're going to let it run again. We're going to spin it again so that way we can start this properly. Wholeness and Balance Vibrations Tribe, thank you so much for joining in today. It's always an amazing time. I'm already in 2020. I know some folks waiting on the 31st, but they didn't see that full moon line up perfectly like that in the sky. And I know what it is. I can feel that energy coming through. I'm sure you've had stuff go on and it's telling you, hey, this is it. It's on point. Whatever they've been talking about is happening. But before we get started, here we go. We're going to run it one more time. Here it is.
If you have a questioning nature and a desire to nourish your essence within you have reached the realm of truth, live from inner space, it's the next sequel to Interactive Enlightenment, brought to you by your host, Seven Bomar. Enjoy non-stop breakthroughs, advanced knowledge, and self-discovery to the core of your very essence. Join us as we map the blueprint to the cosmos and dissolve the mysteries of the Matrix. You are now connected to the Keymaker.
Boom. There it is. All right, so we going to start this thing, and here it is. I'm going to do high energy, rapid fire. I got 7 questions coming through today. Ask seven questions, okay? And we got some giveaways coming in at the end of the show, as we always do. And we're in total alignment. Like, I definitely have been able to get in early enough, despite that little early YouTube glitch. Totally not on my end. The thing even said that it was working. It wasn't. But anyway, I definitely want to save your time today and give you the maximum impact, because this thing is almost at 2020, as many are in that on the other side still. And I want to make sure that I do everything that I can to gear you up properly for what we're about to dive into this next year and the energies that are coming across. Also, remember, there's old recordings like, what is that one? Getting into 2017 or something like that, 2018 with Seven Bomar. These are master recordings when it comes to setting the proper intentions and getting the vibrations right. And fortunately enough, I've been actually, you know, seeing every single thing that I said and what we've done in a co-creative level really come to fruition. And also we're flooring it like a Donzi. We literally pushed the world's first conscious ecosystem in version 3, just fully optimized and ready. Obviously, there's some things that we still need to integrate and do, but we're rolling so fast. Our project is on point, meaning that we've made our dates and we've been able to make our visions into reality despite whatever was telling us that it wasn't going to happen. So also, if you have any questions, because that's what we do, we answer here all metaphysical questions that are especially related to the depths of the consciousness all the way to the surface. You can actually type question before your question so that the moderators can pull it out of the feed and send it to us and put it into the queue. You can type question. You can get any question answered that actually may be something that you're looking, or you need to know you're looking deep into. Now, I will tell you that you can actually go to the Secret Energy website. You can hit the right tab and you can go down to Real Search. It's now available for everyone. It was just available for beta users in the beginning, but now it's available for everyone. You can hit Real Search. That's REEL search. And inside of Real Search, you can actually type any keyword you want. You want to know about Kundalini, you want to know about third eye, whatever. You can type that in, you can hit enter, and it's going to bring up every single video that I talked about that. And because this content is 10 years deep, at least, you're going to find some explosive stuff. And by the time you're done, which won't and shouldn't take you long because you'll only find stuff connected to Kundalini and whatever it is your query is, you will be so versed and so adept at that topic, it will put you into a space to be able to really do something and get your agenda accomplished of whatever you want. So I'm not going to take any time in jumping in today because I did want to bring in the brevity. I know the whole goal of what we're doing here is not to have these 2 to 3 hour recordings all the time, but I will say My great friend Apollos has now already begun to break up these videos. I also have another brother. His name is Tim. I got to get my names right. You know, there's a lot of brothers and sisters around us that are assisting, breaking down these videos into questions and breaking down the questions into smaller segments. So look forward to those smaller segments coming forward onto YouTube, meaning just the question and the answer, which gives you materials to also use and be able to assist your family, your friends, especially when they have these questions and you don't want to necessarily answer them, or you want to get them answered, let's say metaphysically, professionally, by the metaphysicist or the mathematician. So that's what's up. So I guess it's breathed enough, and it looks like we're all connected and it's happening. So let me see. I guess I'll talk about the giveaways. We got some giveaways today. We're going to give away some colloidal iridium. We're going to give away some Innerversity courses. We're going to give away some golden intonations, perfect racial harmonics. Also, if you're watching in the tribe, you'll see from Nightbot periodically, you'll actually see some links and stuff to get involved in some of the things that we have going on. Like, you can definitely become a conscious affiliate of our system. We call it the conscious entrepreneur, working with what we call unobtrusive marketing, which is not dropping links about products, but actually dropping links about that knowledge and getting everyone onto another level. I'm going to talk about that here in a moment. Also, if you are a subscriber and you subscribe, we have, I think it's called, it's not called Super Chat. Super Chat's something else, but we've bought back in the widget from Streamlabs that lets us know when you subscribe. And also, if you choose to make a contribution to keep this going, which you'll see those links start feeding in here in a moment. You can make a contribution at that site, and it will feature you here on the stream. You'll actually see your name. You'll see your contribution amount. So if you're not a subscriber, maybe you can help us by testing that out by hitting the subscribe button. Now, it's not a cheap way to get subscribed, but it is on right now. And if you subscribe, it should come into that bottom right here. Like, there should be like a thing that says, this person just joined. So we're just encouraging you to, if you're just diving into this, to hit that subscribe button, because there's years of information here and you can put yourself on a depth level. It's like, what am I doing here? I'm actually collapsing time. Like, if I put 10 years into this, you probably could take a good 3 months, 6 months, you know, who knows your pace, but you can actually get to the level of connection with self, because that's all this is about. It's about you. You can get the level of connection with self in a fraction of time. And what that allows is that if you feel like you're late, you're just jumping into something like this, you feel intrigued by it, but you don't get it at all, this is the space that you can go through what we call the Innerversity. We have an Innerversity store, but we also have these Innerversity chats that happen I can't say every single day. Actually, for us, there's always something going on. I'm always building, but there's a lot of content always coming across our network. So definitely join in with us, like, subscribe, whatever they call it, and so that way you can get the message. So I'm going to dive right in. As I said, this is the first question we have. How do we deal with potential management? This is a big one, okay? Potential management. Definitely have to correct some of the jargon coming through here. I definitely want to ask moderators, if you bring a question and you see it kind of fractured, remember, you got to repair that thing, because I'll go right in and try to read it, and it may be a little fractured as far as the syntax and the grammar. So I'm going to try this again. How do we deal with potential management? If you're good at a number of different things, it can be confusing as to which direction to go in, and how to deal with, and how do I deal with this? Yeah, this one was butchered a little bit. Also, I will tell you, if you're leaving a question, read the question. You know, we're human beings. We're not robots. So, you know, we got to read this thing back out. Sometimes you're typing all fast. There's tons of typos in it. Take your time. Take your time, man. You got infinity. You know, put the question out there so we can read it and really understand what you're saying. Read the question to yourself as if you're going to answer it, and ask yourself, is this phrase is the question properly? I'm just letting you know, like, we're here to assist you as much as possible. This costs you nothing. We don't even have to know that you're here. You know, you can leave a question and, you know, get your question answered, but at least do us a favor. Put that question in the proper context so that we can read it clearly. What this brother or sister is actually asking about is something that many always ask about, which is like, I get kind of overwhelmed. It's like, we want to do everything. It's like, I got to go over here. I'm going to be a lawyer, and then I'm going to be a psychologist. I'm going to be a metaphysician, and then I'm going to do this. I'm going to sell these T-shirts, and it's like all this stuff going on, because of course society promotes that. It kind of promotes that, you know, you try to become the jack of all trades, but you got to be the master of all those trades too. And the reality is just not enough time in a day. Like, you sleep pretty much half of that time away, 8 hours maybe. Maybe you've got it down to 6. And then, you know, there's all this other stuff that you got to do, like cook, use the bathroom and all that. That takes up another chunk. And then what's finally left there for you, especially if you have a job, is a very little small minuscule part of time that you have to spend on yourself. So this means that if you got all these endeavors, it's obvious that you're not going to really be able to get to those goals. And then what that means is sometimes you're depressed, you feel held back, you feel stagnated by everything going on around you. So how do we fix this? Okay, we fix this by first drilling into what we talked about before in relation to uniqueness. You don't need to be doing everything. You need to be doing what exactly you're designed to do. And that, just like a tree produces fruit, you can do that effortlessly. So it doesn't actually feel like there's this whole strain because now you got to go and learn something new in order to be able to grow whatever you're doing. Now you got to learn about all these different things. And now I will say, though, for the record, because I don't want to paint a picture for you that's not accurate. Generally, right now, in society, especially with us divided the way that we are, you know, obviously this group is looking to continuously bring us all together so we can use our uniqueness in our own respective rights to increase us all as a whole. And we've designed something to actually do that, which I'll talk about later. But just as it is, it generally means sometimes if you really want to get things across, and most of the time, if you really want to get some things across, you want to see your manifestation happen, you may have to put on a few hats. I'm definitely not exempt to that. I'd be doing it all. Like if anybody was sitting here, if I just did a time lapse, you would see me moving all over the place, doing all sorts of things, many of them in which not related at all in order to push this projection and make it happen. But the reason why I'm doing that, because I am talented a bit in the multitasking area, is to actually make an environment and a reality that not only is going to be harmonic for me, meaning me not doing all of these different things that I know others are better at doing, but also just that first part of, well, somebody's got to do it. And instead of passing the buck on this and waiting for the gleaming in the sky to happen, and then all of a sudden, wazam, it's going to be there, I got to go ahead and dig in, and that's going to be my contribution to the universe and the cosmos this time in this space in my life. So I'm glad that we're actually, we've reached a big milestone, especially with the website. Again, we have some features to integrate that are very powerful, like GeoChat. But just as far as functionality, like, did you sign up? Did you get an email? Did it work? When you clicked here, did it fizz out? When you tried to make a transaction, did it go through? When you worked with the affiliation, did the credit go to your account? All of those things, and it's numerous. It's like a list of like 1,000 things. We have gotten to that milestone where those things, for the most part, are working properly. So if you haven't joined secretenergy.com for whatever reason, now is the best time. As I said, it's on revision 3.0. You can click the button, take a tour. The moment, take the tour. When you first get to the site and land on the first landing page, as they call it, you can click the button, take the tour, and it will tell you everything about what you can get at in the website. So now, in answering this question, what I'm coming at is first, are you doing what you're supposed to be doing, or are you doing something else? And this is very clear because I'm going to give you just a few pointers on how to create techniques or how to practice techniques that actually allow you to expunge your uniqueness from self, basically to figure out what is it that you really do. And this is going to be in more of what I say is like the boomerang way. You're going to go around and it's not even going to seem related, and then it's going to come back and it's going to be exactly what you want. So how we do this is first looking into you yourself and what kind of instrument you are. And I'm speaking literally here. What kind of instrument are you? And as an example, when I first jumped into a music course when I was young, like I guess I was maybe about 9, 10, 11 years old in elementary school, I went and joined jazz band. And I guess because of these lips or something, the instructor was like, you would be good at trombone. And then or you would be good at bass. Or actually, you know what? Now that I recall that properly, because that was his second statement, like, yeah, you would be good at that. He said, which of all these instruments would you like to play? And I looked at all the instruments that were there, and I immediately became fascinated with this slide on the trombone, you know, the whole slide thing, right? And I was like, that one. And he said, you would be really good at playing a trombone. And I guess it was a pun towards the lips. And so he says, all you got to do is just, you blow into this thing, but you make your lips buzz like, and I was like, I hit it that first time, boom, 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 boom. And I was like, okay, so that was my advent into a connection with something that I later on, years later, even all the way, like also in this kind of segment of time, realized was my consciousness saying, that's what I do. I hold up the baseline. I'm the foundation. I create the floor to this that everybody stands on and walks on and is able to cross over into other things. And I've been doing that all my life. That has actually, whether I knew that connection and that metaphysical awareness at that stage, which was obviously not in this literal kind of way, but I was bringing that out into the reality. And then, of course, I could play tuba because that's the same music. I could play trumpet really well. That's the same music, same mouthpiece, right? And that's what I have been doing inside the band. Now, of course, later on in life, I put the trombone down and picked up that work and all of what needs to actually be done in society to survive. And I started forgetting about that I even play this instrument, and I lost sight of it until I guess about 2 or 3 years ago when I bought another trombone off of eBay or Amazon. So here's the thing. The reason why I'm bringing this up, again, this is the boomerang throw, is that I was able to literally connect that the type of instrument I am is really what I am to be doing in this reality, okay? So to be very simple about this, you need to figure out what instrument you are. And you need to figure out how that plays in, especially to the energetic spectrum. Are you the bass? Are you holding the bass line? Are you the woodwinds? Are you all up in the air? Are you the harp? Are you the strings? Are you the chords? You need to figure this out. And I'm just answering this question directly about somebody that's overwhelmed, wants to do everything. You need to figure out what you really do and what is your contribution truly in this reality based on your body's instrument. And then you need to make that connection. And then when you reanalyze all of those different things that you have that you want to do, you'll easily be able to see, well, that's more related to the drums side of things. That's more related to this, that is exactly the energy that I have been giving off my whole life. And then you eliminate everything else, or you make it serve that purpose. That's another thing. You can start summarizing, because if you have a focal point and you say, well, this is what I'm going to do, all the other stuff that you work on becomes it becomes in service of allowing that to become the manifestation. And that's how you focus your energy. Okay. So I'm going to make it as simple as that. And let me see what else I got here. Yeah. So that's what it is on that question. There's your answer. So the next question is, and you can see we may move through this pretty fast today. So you may be out with the kids and with your friends earlier than you think. So the next question here is, I've been on the website and I've signed up, but I don't see what to do next. Please advise. This is great to ask this question because I can give you a very quick answer. Also, I would say if somebody jumped into the website even, I don't know, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, maybe things weren't as cohesive as they are now. You may be able to get the gist of it, but there may be maybe even a bug impeding your ability to actually use it properly. I can tell you now that that is not that way. And if you want to learn how to use the Secret Energy website and all that's there for you, click the Start Tour button. But even more than that, because I want to make something very clear to every single person that's on this line right now, especially if you're looking for a conscious career and alternative and you actually want to get into co-creation, what we've designed is very simple, but virtually unbelievable for most people because they haven't seen anything like this. I love working with things and pioneering stuff and pushing stuff out that many people conceive, but they actually have not seen something like that. And when there's nothing like that, they have a hard time even like snapping into, hey, I'm telling you that we all can go into sovereignty together, not building just one person's dream and then like you're doing at your job, you're building another person's dream, like the owners of the companies, the shareholders, you're building their dream, they're making their devices. And what are you benefiting from that besides just the paycheck that you're getting every month? We've designed an ecosystem. It's not just a website, it's an ecosystem. And at its basis, it's to push you into sovereignty, meaning not to just give you a passive, but actually an aggressive form of alternate income for you to be able to have mobile wealth. Okay, mobile wealth, which our ancestors loved, the mobile wealth. So that way you can go all around the world. You can catch all the synchronicities. You can get on all the highways of life, but you can actually sustain yourself from any device that you have right in the palm of your hand. This is the time that we're living in right now. How does this work? You sign up as a specialist. The link should be feeding through at some point, so you'll see them. You sign up as a specialist, and when you sign up as a specialist, you have the opportunity to represent all of these products that we have in the store. Amazing products, but it's not just that. It's not, hey, you go sell products. Because here's the fact. I can tell you a fact here. If you can sell products, if you're a good salesperson, you got people, you're probably selling your own stuff at this point. You can go all around the world. You could sell rockets. You could sell vacuum cleaners. You could do whatever, because being a salesperson is a specific technique and not everybody has it, okay? And we know that. We're not trying to say, oh, we're just going to offer this and it's going to be a big solution, but we're demanding people to do something that they can't do in the first place, or they wouldn't even need us. You see how sometimes these things that are designed, it's like they haven't thought it through. So what we've done is we've created a system that when you share a link to anything, more importantly, content that is related to raising consciousness, into your Facebook, your Instagram, wherever you want to share that, if it has that link on it, which you obtain by becoming a specialist, when that person slides into secret energy, oh my goodness, real search, all this stuff, oh my goodness, cosmic energy, oh man, I'm dialing into myself, all these videos, this is amazing, right? And no matter what their status is, because we build people, that's what we do, we build souls to be able to sustain themselves. So at some point, they're going to be at a level where they're saying, you know what, I'm ready to get this cleansing kit. I'm ready to take these monatomics. When they make that financial event, you get paid a percentage for that financial event. It's as easy as that. So instead of sending your friends links to products, which is a turnoff, I don't care how great the product is. If I see a link that even looks like an affiliate link inside of my thread from one of my friends and it's saying to buy a product, I'm already turned off. That's just like a psychological thing that is now happening because of all these MLMs and affiliate and get paid with us and all this stuff that is happening. But if you send a link on one of these mega videos that we be doing sometimes, or, you know, that are these really trees, that big mountain post that, you know, we started cracking into, you know, what are these large objects on earth that look like trees? Are they huge trees that are falling down? This is like one of our #1 posts. You share that into your feed and then all sorts of people are clicking on it like, yo, this is amazing. And they're reading it. But remember, because you sent the link across, and if you've done it properly, when that person finally comes into the site and again makes a financial event, you get paid for it. And why is this important for us? Because we believe that if you are the reason why a person is actually now coming into this level of awareness, then you should be compensated for it. Now, that's all I'm going to talk about in relation to that. Let it bake in and start thinking about how easy something like that would be to accomplish and for you to start generating. This is like, to me, the link to what I would say is blind manifestation. You know how when you don't know where something's going to come from, you live one of those random lives where you're like, shoot, I need to catch a plane tomorrow. I don't know where the money is going to come from for me to take this plane. And actually, that kind of gives me some ambience. I'll keep that in. So you're like, I don't know where this money's going to come from. Then all of a sudden, bing, bing, bing. All of a sudden, there's a couple sales to something. He's like, okay, the money is there. And where did these people come from? I don't know. Somebody may have shared the link that shared the link that shared the link. That's what happens on these social networks. And at that point, what you've done is you've connected the synchronicity in with the intention, and then the blind, and the blind manifestation has now clicked, and now you're on your way to do what you need to do. So that's what we opened up. We opened up a stream for you to be able to sustain yourself at the core, because I felt like even after creating the resistance and having such a well reception by everyone, I still felt like that what the major outlets especially were ignoring is the people who can't buy organics right now, the people who can't afford the courses right now, who can't live a lifestyle and go and take the cleanse because the elephant in the room, Mr. Money Monster, has still not been slayed. And this is an advent in this world right now. It's already deployed and it's getting stronger in 2020. Finally, that is complete. Now we can start blowing the trumpet on this and letting everybody know when we come into this group, we're all going to do very well. In addition to that, we also have this process, we call it ambassador training, that we can take you through, that you can start to become a soul coach, which is not only expunging your uniqueness, but also beginning to learn how to create a digital asset or a course from that uniqueness. And then what happens is we put that course inside of our university to stack up there with all of the amazing courses that we have. And then when someone comes along and buys your course, then we have a revenue share on that. And even more powerful, if you just got that juice, I mean, you're shining and everybody loves what you're doing because you've been given the opportunity to shine. Others can share the link to your course and also benefit from that too. So it doesn't mean that just one person becomes the head show in the whole thing. In fact, if anybody's shining really bright, it makes sure that we all increase. And there's nothing like that. You get all these, like I see these commercials all the time. I'm going to start doing parody commercials and making fun of them. Oh, you know, you really need to understand that the law of manifestation is this, and energy is the world, and there's nothing else. Come buy my course. Come buy my course. And then all those people that are up there talking as you know, these are your metaphysicians, I guess. These are the people that are actually bringing you your conscious message in your conscious community. These people already have 100,000, 300,000, 400,000 views on all the stuff that they've been doing. You know, you got the Beckwith. You got all these people who've been working in this same industry for 20 to 30 years. But what about the people, such as I've been listening to my brother Q Reeves, shout out to Q Reeves. What about the people who come in with such a divine message? You know, you're like, man, this shit is not even written down. I don't know. This guy is definitely talking truth, but I know for sure, because I've read 20,000 books, that this is not written down. So he's pulling this from that plane of awareness. But if he, which should easily be up there on one of the Mind Valley stages and ranting and raving back and forth and getting folks into the metaphysical side of themselves and the balance that they need to achieve, but what are they going to do over there at those kind of outlets? They're going to look at that person and say, how many numbers does he have already? Oh shit, he only got 1,000 views. He's only got 1,000 subscribers. And then I'm like, well, that's not the person we're looking for. Next, they're going to do him and everybody else just like George Norrie and the rest of them did me. Oh, well, he doesn't have the views. It's not going to get our network to another level. And he's actually at that weird spot where if we promote him, it's going to bring more things on his side because he's not a nobody. And then he doesn't have enough people, though, for it to boost us. So, and this is what they're doing. They're labeling conscious people as numbers. They're not giving the opportunity to all the new talent that's coming out because we all need these messages, right? And on top of that, pioneering the road, because I have this show that I'm going to do, and I got two of them. I got the simulation, and then this other one is called Whose Information Is It Anyway? Okay? And this is coming from the phenomena that if we're all telling the truth, okay, and we just only have our slight uniqueness, which is our variable of how we're delivering that truth, we should all really be saying the same thing. So what happens, though, when someone is saying something and then the other person feels like he stole my stuff? Whose stuff is it anyway? Like, if even the whole vernacular that we're using as far as the linguistical terms, most of them already been patented, and the alphabet was actually created by a whole nother group of beings. And also the metaphysical concepts are not something just like children that we're just producing and they all belong to us. It's actually the essence of it. The bones, the cells, the skin, all that stuff is made up of things that you do not own and do not belong to you. And if that stuff was not there, you would be nothing. So truly, this message is all of ours or none of ours. And that has to come through, especially in these co-creations, because what will happen then, if we live by those principles, we'll be able to take all of the knowledge. Let me see, I'm still connected here. Yeah. We'll be able to take all of the knowledge that we've all been gathering, get it in front of us like a cloud, start finding all the connections. Each person will be able to build on what the other person has already built on, with what they have already been building. And then the conscious community that we're supposed to be giving this information to, this is not necessarily just for us. It's not for our own benefit. Each person that I have engaged with that have been truly genuine, that has come in to deliver the message, they've come to do that because they have this, I really want to take the reality onto another stage. I want to save as many humans as possible. I want to bring them into enlightenment. And so if that's still your goal, that tends to happen when you connect and you unify, because I'll tell you, I've seen books 40 grand, 50 grand, dark art books. Now, what the hell could be in this book? Right? And then sometimes they copy a few pages. I've talked about this before. They copy a few pages, let you know it's authentic. So I actually look at a few pages and read it and see what it's saying. All it's saying in a nutshell is that this demon or whatever they can cook up, you know, I even got to use the right term, this distortion, I'll use that word, this distortion that they have cooked up organically will bring division to anyone you sick it on. So the overall goal with those entities, those divisive forces, is division, okay? So you don't have to be a genius to realize that if we start doing unity and not division, if we stop saying this message is mine, the channel is only mine, and you're sitting there only on a few views, and you start saying I'm in the collective with co-creation of everyone, and then we also have an ecosystem that's designed to give the honor and the respect to everyone rather than just another course from somebody that is actually trying to produce something for themselves, like a Tony Robbins style. You see what I mean? That's what I'm saying about why we deployed this technology and why it's so powerful. And the world is yet to really see and to know exactly what it can do. But just like cryptocurrency, when that thing catches on, you're going to actually find that there's way more money out there than you thought. There's way more money out there than you could even fathom. They are not even burning the money anymore. So where do you think this stuff goes? On all the nooks and all the crannies in the streets, under the mattresses and all that, there's all this wealth that is stagnant, that is doing nothing. thing. And easily when those people learn that they can actually take that wealth and actually begin to accrue and grow with a group, like what you saw happen in cryptocurrency with Tron and all those other cryptos, you'll see that actually the most valuable thing is still people. We are original. Our uniqueness is original. That is authentic. That's like when something is stamped with genuine, meaning you're real, okay, is the most valuable thing. Genuine gold, the most valuable thing. So since you have something that is genuine, you have to actually realize that the reason why all of these institutions and Facebook's AI and WhatsApp messaging centers and all this stuff is so aggressive at figuring out how they're going to get some type of communication with you is simply because they know you have this uniqueness. They know that it's the most valuable thing. They can use it in so many different ways. The only one to do is just try to expunge it from you, but they also want to do it in a way where they make you feel like you're not worth even a piece of rubber. Even a piece of plastic is worth more than you. Even a few digital chips inside of a glass screen would be worth more than you. When how many iPhones are there in the world? Is that rare? No. Is it an original idea? No. Most of the time the idea is stolen and nothing about it can't be replicated. But you can't be replicated. You're original. Even when we come into this moment, we can never create this moment again. This means that how you're sitting, how you're positioned, how the wind is blowing, how the lights are on you, how the voice is sounding, whether it's hoarse or whatever tone, all of those frequencies and vibrations equate to a sum total of something in every single moment in your life. It can never be replicated again. You need to get the same bird to fly across the sky, the same cloud to have the same formation, the same amount of humidity. It is impossible. So we constantly produce unique stuff. And all we need is outlets that are going to cultivate that and grow that. And that's what secret energy is. So that was answering the question, what do I do in the site? It's a smorgasbord. All you have to do is figure out in the buffet what you like and just catch traction from there. Spend time with it. It's not in vain. I would not be here for 10 years doing something in vain. I can probably go build rocket ships at this stage, internal implosion devices and all sorts of stuff. But I have a reality and awareness that is telling me unless we're all doing that together and we can get more people that are acclimated to doing these kind of things, it just becomes another lonely venture where you die like Tesla, never realizing your overall goal. Because you cannot do it by yourself. And also you cannot do it with people who don't have that kind of alignment. So we have to even bring those people into the space, give them the communicative and arbitrary components such as cosmic energy and Ennealogy. And then that actually gives them the ability to stand on their own too. As we said, Innerstand, pipeline inside, standing up. What's up? I can definitely handle my own. I don't need any external gods, entities, treasure boxes, genies in the bottle. And then when I'm standing on my own too, when I join in with others that are doing that same thing, that respect the energy and the space that they've been invited to, we cannot do anything beyond that but grow, expand, balance, full spectrum, all of those amazing words, harmonize. That's all that we can do. And this is not something that you got to hope is going to happen. This is something that is when it's a proper equation, it's this is something that is going to happen. Once you unify into alignment and get communication on point and bring your arbitrary principles in place, you cannot do nothing but excel beyond anything that does not have that. So that's all I'm going to say. Check us out on that sovereignty earning, because it's about to be 2020 and the whole vista of things is changing. And this is what we're talking about now in ambassador training, about the reality that once again, if you didn't understand, it's becoming a monopoly. Everything is becoming a monopoly. You know how back in the past it used to be illegal to have a monopoly? What that was really about was they didn't want anybody else to start even having the concepts of creating a monopoly. But now YouTube's virtually a monopoly. Okay, Facebook, these are monopolies. Okay, Amazon, monopolies. Monopolies in the sense that they take such a large share of what other people in the same field are doing, they can't even really be considered. And as the future continues, there's only the monopolies. Look at this. Check out DeGogo's video, who's, of course, Cold Fusion. Shouts out to DeGogo, delivering that knowledge. The brother over there in UK doing his thing. He's all the way up to 2 million viewers. I'm sure if you don't know Cold Fusion, you've been sitting under a rock. Which is okay, you know, maybe you're in meditation, but check it out. He does a video on AI, and, you know, he's giving the whole laydown, basically telling where AI came from. But one of the key points in the whole thing that he mentions that many may blow through is that though the two pioneers of artificial intelligence that they say these are the guys that actually were responsible for bringing it into this space and this time, they are both, one is vice president of Google and the other one is vice president of YouTube, I believe. So it's either YouTube, Google, or Facebook, okay? But they're both the vice presidents of these two massive organizations. Vice president is the position that you take when, one, you don't want to be all out in front so everybody knows what's going on. But you refuse to take the lowly title, though, because after all, I created this. That's vice president, okay? Because even when you're president, they come looking for you. So who's the president? He's the one that actually designed AI. This kind of seems like a monopoly on something. And then you get all these whistleblowers and watchdogs and all that. But vice president, like nobody cares about the vice president of a big corporation. But you find the pioneers of artificial intelligence are also the vice presidents of the main companies that are actually pushing across all of these megalomaniac media channels. Okay, so because of that, that means that as things get monopolized more, look at what's happening in the search engines right now. You go and type in something, Kundalini, you're going to get one page of, first of all, a third, if not half of that page paid to be there. The rest actually are spending and even making sure they're doing all the keywords and everything properly. So they're hiring somebody to do that to get there. And guess what? That's generally when you're reading the entry, not the information that you want. So you go to the second page. And now where Google's algorithm is that it then starts to actually make all the information on the second and the third page so irrelevant, you go back to the first page. Like, shoot, those are even better than the ones here. And then you dive in. Why? Because the first page are the people who actually pay for it. And then where there used to be the second page and the third page, which are people who were talking about it in a mystical way, and those are the ones sharing it. Now they're gone. Now you're forced to go back to the first page because they're feeding ads. They're trying to keep their revenues going. And then now you're getting information that they basically want you to get. And that's how this works, right? But what happens when we're no longer using, because people are getting tired of that. So they're like, man, the search engine is not even really any good. So then what happens next? It's pretty soon people don't need search engines, especially when we're going into a space now where everything is just voice. Alexa, Google, Siri, tell me what is Kundalini. According to Mind Valley, Kundalini this is what you're going to start hearing because these outlets still have the millions of dollars to actually pay for that position. It's going to be like a billboard that you need hundreds, if not thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars to actually be the only one, because that's what's going to happen. It's not going to refer. And the second entry and the third entry, it's not going to say that. It's going to say this is the main entry. Somebody's going to be in the car. Google, Alexa, how do I raise my Kundalini? According to Gaia TV, raising your Kundalini is really about, and so if you were one of those beings that were out there and you were actually trying to create a conscious career for yourself, conscious, what we call it conscious entrepreneurship, you were trying to grind, but you were dolo out there all by yourself thinking that your little silly course was going to be more valuable than everybody else's because you knew what you were going to talk about. Guess what? Or you knew what you were talking about. Guess what? There are people that I know that make beautiful music. Beautiful music, especially in Costa Rica. I see them all the time. They got instruments. They play weird instruments, stuff you ain't even seen before, stuff they've even made. Do they have a record deal? No. I also know people that make movies, make film, and really do amazing at it. There's a bunch of them on YouTube. Are they in Hollywood? No. Why? Not because they don't have the talent and the skill. They don't have the machine. They don't have the drive behind them and the wherewithal to be able to keep up with what is happening in society to make sure that we always keep driving for our space and what we want to create in consciousness and what we want to maintain, not for just us, not for just our children, but our children's children. So this is the real deal. We're going into 2020 now. Hopefully everybody got some level of an upgrade already. If you haven't, stick in here just a little bit because I'll breathe it all out to you because you'll be so rejuvenated by the end of this conversation about what you need to do. Then you have no other choice but to actually do it. So let me go on. Let me go on here with the questions. So somebody says, are voices in your mind spirits? Okay, let me answer that. Everything's an energy. Right? We know that. Like everything's an oscillation of moving vibration in the movable world. We're not talking about the immovable here. So the reality is that voices in the mind are none other than amplified energies. They are actually energies where you're actually on that same spectrum and wavelength as whatever that thought that's coming across, because that's not the first time the thought came across of the human consciousness. Okay? Meaning that your little ideas are just that. They are little because you have it individually, and then millions of others have had that same thought. So then it becomes the big idea. So what happens is if you're focusing on something or something around you is resonating a certain kind of energy, that actually starts to fill up your space of ideas. And some people call that voices in your mind. So just remember, whatever is around you and what is resonating, that's why I like to fill my space. I like to fill my environments with things that actually are going to increase and even remind me of who I am, the endeavors and things that I want to achieve, the things that I want to work on, the different type of equipment that I work with. All of that is all around me. Okay? But what is not around me are the things that I know that are contrary to what I believe and contrary to what I'm about, because I know that those things speak. They have energy on them, and then they say things, and those things could actually make me feel like I'm not ready to do what I want to do. How do you know this? Very simple. You go into somebody's room, and they got satanic signs and shit and all this Baphomets and all this stuff and all this dirty, dark stuff, and the corners are all dirty and everything. It doesn't take long before you start feeling the vibration and the energy of those things coming across. So if that can do that, then if you flip that 180 degrees and you actually surround the environment and take the time to sculpt your actual environment with the things that are going to speak to you in a way in which you want to communicate, then the thoughts that start filling your mind become that. So you're in total control of, even if you feel like stuff is coming across your mind at all the time, it's not hocus pocus. It's coming from the things that are resonating in your environment. So take a closer look. In addition to that, stay away from toxic friends and food and music. Okay, so let me just rewind here very briefly. We're going into 2020 now, okay? And I'm going to talk a little bit here in a moment about how we're pairing with our other side of self that we've neglected and often betrayed. We let kind of go at a certain point, especially if we start jumping deep into spirituality. And I'll explain that here in a moment. But it's just the fact that now you're going to, instead of wanting to be just nice all the time and do what everybody tells you to do, namaste. Don't worry, brother. You'll work through it. I'm here. And it's more like, instead of gandering with them, just tell them directly, no, this is what you need to do. You have to have that firmness that equals the elder side of self. Like elders, they're not going to play the radio with you. If they know what's already going on, they've been through it and experienced, they're not going to guess. They're going to tell you, son, this is what you should do. Not, well, sister and brother, I feel like that there's something that's telling me that. And it's like, yo, take the gloves off. Getting the toilet tissue off of your hands and punch. The reality is people are expecting you, especially if they're depending on you for any kind of advice, to tell them what's going on. Why? Because you got a bunch of kids out here. You got 60-year-old kids. They've puffed themselves up on these titles. I'm a doctor. I'm a lawyer. And they pumped themselves up in their environment. Some of them are a bit bullyish. But inside, they're soft, weak. Inside their minds, nothing but chaos all the time. They're feeble. They're unstable. And what they're looking for is a parent, because they didn't even have one. They were telling their parents what to do, especially in some of these households. They tell the parent what to do. So they never got that person that is like, this is what you should do. And then when they start rebuttaling, no, I don't want to talk about this anymore. This is what you need to do, because that's restoring the mentorship and the parenthood in the person's life. And if they haven't had that, even if it's been 80 years, they're still acting like an immature child. So what they're expecting from you, especially if you've gained some knowledge and wisdom and experience from being here, is for you to directly tell them what they need to do and take on that mantle, which is being an elder. Some people are like, well, I don't want to be anybody's leader, but have them come in, and you got people coming to ask you questions. You see what I mean? So are you a soft leader? Can you lead us into the hunt? I explained this before about in tribal settings, the way we determine who's going to lead us is who can lead us on the wild hunt. What does that mean? That means that we got babies here. We got children here. We have elders here. We got grown men. We got boys. We got girls. We have women, and everybody needs to eat. That's the whole thing about being on earth. We all need to eat. So who's going to take us into our next meal? And are they qualified to do that? So when we go in a tribal setting, generally the leader of the tribe, he's robust. Not only are she's robust, not only do they know where to get the food from and how to lead the tribe into actually getting it, they also have the wherewithal from different levels: intellect, strength, physical strength, mind, body, soul. Mind, body, soul generally is on max. And so when they go into the hunt, they always come back and they deliver something, and the tribe is like, yay, Yay. Thank you so much, ancient leader, blah, 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 blah. That's how you choose a leader, not based on ballot polls that are rigged and not based on people who you think that you like. You base your leader on, can they bring back the meal? Go back to your ancestral side of things, okay? And so then if we go on the wild hunt, right, and then the leader can't find any food, what do? We get rid of the leader and we find another one. In fact, in the tribal setting, the old leader would literally say something like, unfortunately, ye old knees have given out. I no longer have the strength to lead the tribe onto the ancient hunt. I'm allowing my son, Mdobo, to begin to take over my role. This is what would happen. Not, no, I'm going to keep this. This is mine. And y'all all going to sit down right now or I'm going to curse everyone back. It was not that going on, because if you can't lead us into the hunt and you can't feed us, we don't need you in that position. You can easily take on another role. And that's the other thing. We're going into 2020. So here's what happens also in the wild hunt. What if we're hunting in the territory that we've always been in? So everybody pretty much knows how to do it. But what happens when we start going into a vista, when the tribe got to pack up like nomads and now we're in a whole different area? We just came from a forest and now we're in a jungle. Is that same leader going to actually be able to lead us on the wild hunt in the jungle? Let's see. We're going to test that mouth. And this is what's happening in life. You have to actually choose the people and choose the mentors that you have around you based on their dexterity, their actual ability to really go in and deliver and know what's going on. So if you have someone that's just strictly polarized on whatever it is, their material aspect of things, right, the I-ness, or their spiritual side of things, the collective, and they're just polarized into that, and we're going into deuce 2020, see clearly, double vision. We're going into that. They need to be abreast at how to deal with both of those situations and how to harmonize. And guess what? That's what we teach. That's what we do. It's our pleasure. We're not actually saying that only one person should do it. We're saying, shoot, if you can get as many orchestrators as possible, that would be great, because really it's a cumbersome job. Like, imagine a tribal leader. It's like every moment somebody's always coming talking about their problems. We need more leaders, but leader in itself is something that's cultivated. Now you got this new community, this new idea, which is all part of the program. You don't need a leader. Lead yourself. Where are you going? Why wouldn't you draw upon the knowledge and the wisdom of somebody that's already been there? And then on top of that, why are you playing with yourself? You do it all the time. Every time you read a book. Didn't you learn English? Where did you get all this stuff from? You got it from, quote unquote, a mentor or a leader that took their time and their energy to actually teach you that, and now you're using it. So at what point, especially since you're still taking breaths, right? Meaning you're breathing. At what point do you not need a master teacher? Breath is a master teacher. Water is a master teacher. So if you're running around here, and I'm saying to everyone, if you're running around here saying, we don't need leaders, you're dumb. You are deluded. You have bought into a program of somebody who is telling you to not have a leader so you get lost. That's what's going on in society. Or, I don't know, take Juice WRLD as your leader and then juice yourself out of your whole damn life. That's what they got for you, okay? So that's what I'm saying. 2020, severity. Very serious times we're going in, but also abundant completion. Really being able to mate your dreams and your ideas and your inspirations with the manifestation of you actually being able to enjoy and live in that. So let's keep going. Is there a spiritual way to deal with bipolarity? Okay, that's the question. The answer to that question is, first of all, we're all bipolar. Okay, like, don't make it exclusive to you. Don't make somebody make you feel like that you have a medical condition that nobody else has. We have two sides of the brain here. And clearly, they have two totally different things going on. And what bipolarity is just not at times having the wherewithal to stabilize yourself when you want to go into another one of these extremes in the left and right hemispheres of your consciousness. So at this stage, you are not singled out as a person that's bipolar. Everyone here is bipolar. Now, the next question is, do they have balance in that bipolarity? So the first thing to look at, obviously, would be that, first of all, how do you talk yourself down off the cliff? Meaning that if you know that you're doing something that is going to damage you, especially when you're in an argument and all these crazy things that are related to the bipolarity frequencies, what you have to ask yourself is, how long can two horses run in different directions before they tear you apart? Okay? See, the two hemispheres of the brain, like I told everyone to read Guardians of the Sun Door, it's free. Okay? Deep knowledge going on there. If you don't understand it, just take it paragraph by paragraph until you get it. And it's saying that both hemispheres of the mind are equally at the same strength. Okay? But totally opposites. So on this side, you may have the bird, scorpion, tail, lion face, snake back. And then in this corner, like I say, and in this corner, you may have a reptilian sharp tooth, koala neck. Okay? But when these two go at it, they're at equal strength. So the danger of this, as I said, these are like your two horses, your two griffins, right? That's what they show them. Griffins, horses, chimeras, dragons. They're all the same thing. It's like however you want to paint these characters. This is not a Disney movie all the damn time. These two forces are ferocious. And when you have them in your consciousness and they're working for you, you get places. When they're working against you, meaning you're still trying to divide one from the other, now you're just the good one all the time, or now you're by yourself, and now you're in the collective, and you're going back and forth and all this, your horses are running in two different directions, and they're going to tear you apart. At minimum, you're going nowhere. Okay? So at minimum, when you have two forces running in opposite directions, you're going nowhere. But more than likely, they're going to rip you apart, and that's called polarization. Okay? So think of it that way. And this actually brings us into one of the big parts of this conversation that I really want you to dial into, because there's something that's happening that is a part of a celestial event, okay? Now, word to the wise, we may think at times that we are in total control because we have choice, and we've talked about this. These are paradoxical things. We're in a paradox, so there's always a yes-no. So in many ways, you do have choices, and you do change your destiny based on those choices. But in other ways, just like your parents, it's like, are you really qualified to go outside the house by yourself yet? This is all still parenting going on. There's nothing out of the family archetype that doesn't consist in every single part of metaphysics. So when you're raising a child, is the child ready to leave outside and go by themselves yet? Or do they need a chaperone? Okay? So in the real metaphysical world, we have these chaperones because many of us are still in seed-like form, just discovering who we are. Who am I? What is my purpose in life? That is not the way to actually be out in the worldwide cosmos, or the cosmic wide cosmos, or whatever you want to call it, universally large cosmos. You have to know what you are and what you're vibrating. And until then, you get the chaperone. And what is the chaperone? The sun, the moon, other planets that are affecting things, literally almost like in itself puppet mastering. That's why you feel a little bit more horny during full moon for most people. You got morning wood for males. You have this cycle that goes on. There's a period for females that connects with the lunar cycles of the moon. Why? Because those are the chaperones that are saying, hey, this is supposed to happen in your body. This is supposed to happen in your consciousness during this time. And if it doesn't, then it's going to throw you off even further than you think. And when you learn how to do that on your own, when you know how to reap and to sow and to clean and to dirty and to all of those different things that all these planets actually bring about, then you're ready for the universally wide cosmos. Okay? And until then, something over there, out there that you can't even see, that has a lot to do with why people can't see codes, frequencies, light, and all that kind of stuff, is actually going to guide you and mold you into the experience until you learn how to grab the wheels and are qualified to grab the wheels for yourself. Okay? So I just wanted to make that very clear, that there are forces that are actually guiding and herding, if you may, like a shepherd, all of humanity and including nature into different stages of its awareness. Okay, so the 2020, what it's really about for most people, especially if they've been polarized, is that they're going to meet their other half. Okay, some call that antimatter. Okay. Now, the reason why it's called antimatter is not that it's not something that is not related to matter. It's just that anything that you're not doing or practicing or actually inhabiting at this stage is not physical. Okay. So it's called antimatter, but it exists and it coalesces somewhere. What 2020 is about is there's an energetic move in the whole cosmos to where it's going to now bring that around you again. Now, let me explain kind of how this works. And I'm going to say this in this context of people studying spirituality, and which is the study of spirits, and metaphysics, okay? And that probably makes up pretty much everyone on this line, or else you just probably got dragged into a YouTube video that you didn't know anything about. So in this case, those who are practicing spirituality have probably been doing that for a decent segment of time right now. It could be 10 years. It could be 5 years. It could be your whole life. right? But generally how the process works, and this actually has to do with just being born on the planet, is first you start out in the first chimera, if you may, the first side of the consciousness that you start riding on is the material one. Okay, so you jump on the material horse. And people generally jump on this horse first because it's the one that produces the most vivid results. It's the one that you can actually see what you do and what it equals. So many people jump on the material horse, and the material horse starts getting stronger. Okay, and when I say material, I'm not talking about materialistic. I'm talking about just that aspect of the consciousness that, hey, I need to go out and get a job. I love her. She's supposed to be with me. We're going to get married. So all of those things that just have to do with anything beyond the spiritual, deeper subset of what goes on in self, right? So you're riding this horse, right? And then a lot of people never got off that horse, right? They just kept going. Like they gained so much material wealth and strength, but they're spiritually defunct, okay? But in your life, generally what happens when you start riding this material horse, we're calling it, there comes a point where you hit a wall, you fall off the horse. And then you start doing spirituality. You fall off the horse and you literally say, oh my goodness, I can't believe, that this is happening in my life. You start reading certain books and things, and then the books tell you that all of this is directly related to you not getting deeper into yourself, meditating, studying your spiritual side. So then you go and do that. Okay, so at this stage, what you've done is you've kind of abandoned this horse. You've left it. Okay, some even call that a betrayal. Okay, because now you're going to move away from it. It exists. It is still there, but you're leaving. You're going to this spiritual thing. So now you start cultivating the spiritual horse, right? And then get strong. And just like everybody else that doesn't realize the yin-yang nature to life, this thing can get so strong, it can equally destroy you like the material can. You get so disconnected, nobody even knows what you're talking about. It's like you're in a physical reality. You can't pay one bill, but you got all these words and all these ideas. It's because you left the horse that actually is responsible for manifesting all that stuff that the spiritual side is talking about and emitting and projecting. Okay? Now, all this is with just cause, because just like we said before, how are you going to learn two totally different things at the same time? This is why, since we've been deep into deprogramming the judgment codes and all that kind of stuff, when people ask about archons, man, I give an answer. Here, hopefully this suffices you. Here's the answer about archons. Because if I get deep into what archons really are and how much archons have really done and what they've got going on and how they set up things, at the end of the conversation, you're going to hate archons. And if the whole purpose of the lesson is to come into harmony, how are we going to actually teach about division and teach about harmony at the same time? That's what I was saying about the two horses. So life will ride you off on one of these horses and make you actually feel like the other one's not important. That's why material people don't think spirituality is important. They laugh at it. Versus also, spiritual people don't think material reality is important. They laugh at it. Why? Because when you're trying to recover from something, if you smoke cigarettes, right? And at every single moment you're thinking about cigarettes and you want to smoke a cigarette, you're going to eventually smoke a cigarette. Something has to happen where you hate cigarettes and you no longer believe that those are the way to go. So that's what would happen in this switch. You would go to spirituality and you would hate material reality and you would never believe that that was the way to go until 2020. Until you got to the certain level of adepthood to realize, I need to get that other horse. Because that other horse was also the one that backed up most of these thoughts, most of these light codes and most of these words and brought them into physical reality. Now, of course, you're not going to bring back the same old decrepit being that actually was dooming you. You're going to actually now have the wisdom of the spiritual aspects of self to now guide this part of self. Let me make sure we're still connected. Okay, great. To guide that part of self into the same strength. Remember, I told you these things they should run at equal measure. One should not be stronger than the other. They should be balanced. It's like if you got one stronger horse and you're on this chariot, this horse is literally leading everything off to one side. This is why you don't want that. One horse can run really fast. The other horse is getting dragged. You don't want that. You want them running at the same speed. So now the wisdom and the mentorship of the spiritual side is now going to embrace the material chimera that was left behind, that also feels a bit betrayed. Anytime you leave something, you betray it. And this is actually seen as a betrayal to self, because that is a part of self. So now you pull up on them again. Hey, yeah, I know you as spiritual got an issue, but I got a whole nother way. Because remember, you're the arbitrator. You're the rider of the horse. So if you actually put yourself in the position of either of these beings, and it's not just to arbitrate and to realize how you can bring balance, you're already in folly. You're a referee, black and white. So you're the one that is to groom these beings so that they can take you to where you need to go. So you pull up again. Hey, spirit, material side. Yeah, I know I left you. And we used to have some great times, didn't we? But listen, for us to get to this next stage of manifesting what wisdom over here is already cooked up now that I've been hooking up with him for so long or her for so long. But we need this to happen. And we realize we can't make this happen without you. And then the material said, I told you y'all was going to need me. What do we need to do? Well, of course, you can't go back to your same old things. We're going to upgrade you. And based on what we're going to grow from that, we all going to fly up out of here. Bet. We're going to get to it all then. And that's how it happens. That's what 2020 is about. Now, of course, that's not going to happen for everyone because just like I said, when you abandon one side of the consciousness and you only hang out in one pole, this other pole you've now demonized in many ways. You've distorted in many ways. That's what I'm saying. When people remark about material reality, even though they eat, they drink, they love, they walk on the sand, they do all that, but then they're always saying, oh, the material world, and oh, it's nothing, and there's greater and higher things, but yet this is where they are, okay? So when you do that, what happens is that it basically says over and over to the subconscious mind, because the subconscious mind doesn't like to have all these different categories. It just says that one's wrong, that one's bad, that one's evil, because those start to become synonymous in a person's consciousness. Then they start seeing these weird-ass dreams. This is what's happening with a lot of people. They start seeing these weird dreams. They see all these evil forces and entities entering the planet. And they're like, shit, it's going to happen. And then they're all scared and afraid and all this is going on. And this is all coming from within. Okay, I'm going to talk about another example that we just had yesterday. Me and my brother Timothy was together. We was definitely building on some things about what we want to do with Tribe, especially coming into in February around the festival time. And we were out on this waterfall. And this waterfall is easily a 500 meter drop. Okay, you're going to die if you fall off this. And he was standing on the edge. It's Timothy, so he does these kind of things. He's just standing on the edge. And I was a bit nervous. And another person with me, I think it was Jeanette with me, she was a bit nervous. And somehow that nervousness was transferred to Timothy, possibly. Meaning, like, he started feeling his legs getting a little shaky and weak, a little rubbery, right? And he's always introspective. So he goes, wow, he's like, I can kind of feel this energy that's kind of strange. I almost feel like I'm afraid to be on this edge. And I normally don't have that kind of fear. But I'm going to play with it. I'm going to breathe it in. It's odd. I need to get used to this, right? So this is Timothy, right? So later on that day, actually maybe let's say about an hour later, we're up on another ledge and we're reflecting on what had just happened. And I talked to him about, like, I had a scenario very similar to this and I was encouraged to make sure that my ground is very strong, and that's kind of where the shakiness comes from. But I was even able to debunk that by the reality that, let's say, for instance, if you're walking in that same area and you're not on the ledge, are your legs rubbery? No. Why? Because the mind doesn't think you're on the ledge. It's only when you stand on the ledge that the legs become rubbery and weak. So this literally means, and this is common sense, but common sense ain't common. This literally means that the only way that we feel danger and that we feel anything is when we send the program to ourselves that is what we're experiencing, because otherwise we're always carrying on with pretty much the same event, and our mind is just saying, you're not on the ledge. Do you get where I'm coming from? So everybody that has these negative, distorted, crazy predictions about 2020, it's because their minds are standing on the ledge, and they don't realize that they're still standing in the same space that they've always been standing. So if it's dangerous, well, you've always been in a dangerous space. If it's harmonic, well, you've always been in a harmonic space. But if you're just loading a program and responding from the program that you're loading, you need to actually recognize that's what you're doing, and now decide that since you have that same power to load and unload all these programs, I would suggest you figure out how to become a programmer and actually load the ones that are going to benefit you the most. And then, of course, get the wisdom of how to actually make those things happen. If you don't have both of the forces in balance, you do not get a balanced manifestation. And since this is literally 2020, it is telling us you can see clearly now. If you choose to, you can get out of all of the mist, because remember, when that side of self is neglected, it becomes the mist. Now, let me also show you how that works with people who are fake. That's why I said it's very important to be genuine. The society promotes fake people. When you're fake, what happens is that you say you're about one thing in front of everybody. Oh, I meditate and But then when the doors close, you're cursing, you're pissed off, you have problems, you're jealous, you're doing all this. That is in itself what is called, that way that you're acting, that is called the dark art, okay? And the reason why it's called the dark art is not specifically based on what you're doing, but that you're hiding from everyone what you're doing. And then you're living a life that is actually seems to be one thing, and then on your other life that you're keeping obscure from everyone, you're doing another, and this is tearing you betwixt. It's actually not allowing you to be who you truly are. You're not being real. You're not being genuine, okay? Now, here's another thing, too, because some people are like, well, I just always want to be nice, and I always want to show people the best part of me, and I know I have all these flaws. Let me tell you something, because you may believe that that is going to get you ahead, but it's not. It's going to take you further back, because the people that I see right now that are catalyzing, whatever you could say about them, that's your opinion. But the people who are catalyzing millions of people, when I study what they're really saying, they're just brutally honest. And they're very direct. And they take lead because they feel empowered by what they're giving. They're not questioning what they're giving. And that's why if you have this double life that you're living that you haven't merged yet, you're never going to be solid truly about what you're really saying and what you're doing. People are going to hear that in your voice. It's going to come across in the frequency. It's not something that you're saying. It's going to come across in the frequency. They're going to be like, he doesn't even sound convinced of what he's even saying. And then that's going to, some people may be attracted to that, but it's not going to get you the level of growth and the level of I'm choosing my words carefully here. It's not going to get you to the goal that you're looking to complete with the big human scenario that we're going through right now, with each of us helping each other get to the next stage by being real, okay? And you only can teach another person to be real by you being real yourself, genuine, original, unique, okay? These are all the same words. So the next part of this is, remember, we only have 7 questions a day. We're almost done. So now, the next question is, how do we stop the government of our mind, okay? And how do we stop the government of our mind? So the person's literally saying that obviously there's this big disclosure, mind controls out there. There's all this influence that's happening. How do we stop that, okay? I first have to actually bring awareness to the difference between mind control versus controlling your mind. And that's kind of how everything works these days, because you could take it one way or you could take it another. So mind control, meaning somebody is literally trying to get from you certain kind of responses. So they're doing things and actually engaging with you with certain stimulus to get you to react to certain things, versus controlling your mind, which is actually having supreme power in your consciousness to a point where, like the Iron Man, it's now nothing to do with the body that you're being able to complete this race. The body is broken down. Even some of the bones are rubbing against each other. There may even be a broken leg. The lungs are completely inflamed and you're still running. Why? Controlling your mind. So do you see the difference? Now, the reason why so you can be the governor or the government over your own mind, which is called controlling your mind. But when someone else is doing it to you, that is called mind control. So I can only say that you would want to practice the latter rather than the former. And then also to realize, as we've talked about in past episodes, about real estate in your mind. I think I actually have a show that is called Real Estate in Your Mind, where I elaborately took apart how it's clear that what corporations want to do, what brands want to do, is buy if they can and seize if they have to, or steal, which they normally do, space within your mind like a billboard. That's what these repetitious songs are about. That's what these images and pictures that try to enlist an emotional response from you. They know enough about all that stuff. I mean, they've been practicing hypnosis and NLP before those became even titles. So showing somebody a little booty, a little titty, or something that's going to allow them to have an emotional event inside of them, and then connecting that with a pair of sneakers, is going to buy real estate inside of your mind. And that form of mind control or mind governance is generally what a lot of the minds are actually filled with, is emotional triggers that are tied into brands. So this is why, of course, you want to practice controlling your mind, which is all about meditation, all about the stillness that comes with the realization of self, the study of the metaphysical aspects of who we truly are, the greatness, infusing yourself with awareness and self-worth. One of our brothers yesterday, David, was talking about how he had learned as an elder, he's about 60 at this stage, that all of the human traumas were coming from an ability to not deem one's own self-worth. Because, and we've talked about this before, that there's an extreme debasement that has gone on in this reality, extreme debasement, to where every single moment you're just a wretch. You don't have enough money. She's prettier than you with the filter on, though. She's got a bigger booty. You know, he's got a more intelligent mind. And it just goes on and on and on and on. And this is, of course, what we're doing to ourselves. It's not so much as somebody, like I said, you should be controlling your own mind rather than getting mind controlled. So what we do to ourselves and say, yeah, you know what, I'm really not as good as that person. And what we have to realize is that we're all breathing the same air. I know one of the top motivational speakers has no arms and no legs. So when you start talking to me about your deficiencies, those can be none other than some kind of mind controlling that you're being subjected to, because most people that are enigmatic have taken their misfortune and brought it to the forefront as the key to their message in order to begin to harmonize with the people that they're speaking to. That was another thing that I noticed, is that the people that were catalyzing millions of people, the first thing they start going out with, this is my personal story. I was raised and we were foreigners and we came from another country and we didn't have any money. I didn't have anything to do. I never saw my father. My father was working all day. My mother raised us, and then she taught us everything that we could, but I had to get out early. I started taking care of everybody, and it was right then that I learned all my marketing skills and what people wanted, and they go in this, and then what's happening at that point is the person is saying, well, shit, if he can do it, because my story is better than that, I can do it. If he's making millions of dollars, then I probably can make trillions of dollars. And that's the whole foreground of attracting others to what you have going on, because they've been able to identify with your experience, okay? So if you feel like that you have some strange impediment that's actually keeping you from being great, you actually have been mind controlling your own self. And you need to lose that program and actually go into controlling your mind, okay? So there's enough that we've talked about that, and we give a lot of knowledge and information about that. So the next question here is 7. Can you please explain the etymology of metaphysics and the connection between the words lucid, as in dreams, Lucifer, and Luce seems to be connected with light. Now, again, these kind of questions are somewhat loaded, so I will unload them really briefly. Obviously, we know grammatically that the word luce, L-U-C, just by a simple query in the dictionary, actually is a reference to the Latin word for light, okay? But very specifically, answering this question in order, the person asked about what is metaphysics and what is the etymology behind that. And I'll just say that meta obviously means on the borderline of no longer being explainable. That's the easiest way to define what meta is. Okay, where either it's gotten too small or it's too obscure to be explained. So the word metaphysics or metaphysical means the brink of what can be explained about the physical. And any kind of guidelines, any kind of templates, any kind of blueprints that can actually give us more level of awareness of something that is very obscure and generally cannot be seen or interpreted. But this rolls very well, because then when you think of light, right? And more importantly, frequency, because oscillation and vibration and frequency is light. Can you see that song playing across the realm right now? You can tune into it on the radio, but you can generally not see it unless you got a very precise third eye piercing in between the places, You generally cannot see it, but it's there, okay? So this is light work, okay? Not all light workers are here to help you. Okay, newsflash. I'm sure you've seen a lot of that now going on. Oh, namaste. Come sit down with this distorted entity. Not all light workers are here to help you. So just because you've fused that word light with right and white, that is your whole thing that you've gotten confused in. Light is not only white, Okay, there are blue lights, there are green lights, because this is, again, when we don't understand or have a good grip on grammatics, we often get misled, especially by the Brothers Grimm, to actually blend words together that don't actually mean the same thing. So light work is just dealing with frequencies, vibrations, and tones that are generally not visible by the naked eye in order to cause an effect into the material world, okay? So to decrypt words like lucid inside of the dream, first of all, here's a technique that you can practice to prove that what I'm saying is true. When you wear an eye mask, okay, you can see your dream clearer. Try it tonight. All of the lights that are around you, including the far infrared lights, especially the little red light from your cell phone charger, right? And even outside, the street light, all of those lights are like beams. They look like beams. You can even see that sometime with the naked eye. They look at beams. But if you saw it for real, you'd see beams all over the place, and beams and grids basically interlacing and crossing all over the place, right? And then you would see them because everything is getting bathed by light. But really what it's doing is it's getting bathed by the beams of light that are being emitted. So what happens is when you lay down and you go to sleep, and all these lights are around you, all of these beams are hitting your frontal lobe. And what happens at times is your whole array system is actually off alignment. It's actually somewhat confused and distorted. So when you wear like an eye mask over this area, which generally covers this area and over this area, you'll find that your dreams become clearer. Why? Because without trying to make it so metaphysical, in this case all the time, almost unexplainable, what you will learn is that this thymus and pineal and hippocampus and all that is basically a projector system. It is what is allowing you to see the dream. But if you're being influenced by the external lights, even if that's the light pole outside versus some kind of entity that is masquerading around as the angel of light or whatever you want to call it, then you will not be able to see clearly what you need to be doing. And we talked about this, I think, on the last show about the wandering stars and how people can get misled by none other than an LED bulb thinking that it's the sun. You see what I mean? And that's, of course, what the whole Hollywood star thing is, because it's an old technique that was used in Nazi Germany. It's like when everybody, it's like those things they do in New York sometimes. Everybody looks up. They get like 50 people out there to look up. And then everybody that walks by them just like, well, let me look up too. What is everybody looking at? It's a simple phenomena. It's basically suggestive programming. So we have to realize that, you stay on point literally by realizing where that light is within. Where's your true north? Where's your guidance system? And sometimes, and in most cases, you need to block out the external lights. That's why I always point people inward. Understand, I'm not your gurus. I'm not your leaders. I'm whatever it is that you need me to be. I'm not saying specifically what role that I carry. You see what I mean? That's what he's talking about. The Messiah, he appears to them as they want to see. That's exactly how I move around. I appear as people want to see. Some people think that I'm their enemy, so that's what they see. Some people think that I'm the Messiah that's come here to save them, so that's what they see. But as long as I'm staying into my neutral zone and obviously are working with balance, then it allows them to see what's going to catalyze them to the next stage. And I'm not concerned about whether that appears to be bad or good to them, because I already know that whole joke and that whole game, right? And I'm just here to get a person through that process so they can start coming into balance. So now when you think about it, as we've proficiently described who Lucifer is, even though people keep coming up with different definitions based on their controllers and what their controllers are saying, okay? The controllers keep telling them that these are the evil beings, so now it just creates another enemy, okay? And then now a being that is more powerful than anything, because you control your own consciousness, you control your own array and networking system, all that you can control. Now you load something that's supposed to be against you. So then, of course, the concepts of the deeper principles behind the light bearer, also known as Lucifer, means that it is with light, meaning that Lucifer is seen as a woman that is pregnant, ready to birth light or life. And that generally is a cognate of Venus. And that's why Venus has birthed this child. And now they're saying Venus, then in this case would be Mary, is with child. So she's a light bearer because she's about to bring life into the world. So the divine feminine can always be rolled under this aspect of code because she has a womb that can bear light. She can take the light from even the sun and decrypt and encrypt it and bring it through a gestation process in order to bring it into the world. And this is why there became, in most dualistic minds, a conflict. That's why there's a war with the female versus the male, or the matriarch versus the patriarch. Oh, the male is really the creator. We're the projection and blah, blah. Oh, the female, no, she's really the one. And all of them are confused because they don't realize that it takes both of those components functioning as one to really bring forth and sustain life. So stop arguing about it already. These people talk so much, but when it's time to get in there, like I said, when it's time to create the children's videos, when it's time to walk downtown with the young kids and the brothers that are lost and astray, they're nowhere to be found. They're always there with their judgments. When it's time to deploy the technology, now it's the computer that's the problem. And they're saying that across an electronic device. Who can be more confused than one who is sitting in the dualistic states of their own mind, not realizing that all is self and that means that there's no exclusion in the creation that actually belongs and has been gestated from you and also the co-creative forces that are around you. So stop playing with yourself and creating so many monsters and entities that you can't seem to overcome every time you get misled in your sleep and have one of those crazy ass dreams. So here it is. We already know then that light is just a tool that adepts use to perform magical operations because they seem like magic in front of everybody else because they can't see what's happening to affect things in an unseen way. But this is none other than the light of the oscillation of the vibratory frequencies that go on around us, including the radio station. Last question. Yeah. So the last question is how do minerals like colloidal iridium, platinum, and gold help our body and our brain? This one's simple. We get a chance to glide out of here with ease. Conductivity, okay? Conductivity, the conductor. Since all we've talked about at this stage, especially towards the end of this conversation, is really about connections. It's really about us being on point, in tune. All this, that's what they call the body electric, has to do with really your vibration and your vibratory frequency and even your synapses. Like even the little, what they call it, telomeres on the end of your DNA. All of that is all based on conductivity. So what these nobles do, now the reason why I just had to bring up that these are nobles. What does the word noble mean for us generally? Somebody that's honorable. Why? Because they're unwavering. This is why you need nobility around you. Noble people, people who are noble because they stand for what they are. They don't transmute and change into other things all of a sudden like night and day just because they were fed some kind of information and knowledge across the spectrum of light that convinced them to go into the opposite direction of balance. Okay? So when you get with the nobles, they refine just by their own honor. They refine your consciousness and they create conductivity within your vehicle. So that way all of the greases, the starches, and many of the non-conductive elements can still be latticed with the proper framework that is necessary to continuously carry the message throughout your system. So I won't make it any more difficult than that. I also want to make mention again to the golden inclination, the perfect ratios. We're going to give some of that away here in a moment. But just the realization that you get so many people doing all these other different things. But truly, some of the stuff we just need to go back to and make sure we completed that yet. And just surrounding yourself, you can hear it in the sound, surrounding yourself by golden ratio, perfect numbers, perfect ratios with sound and playing that vibration brings you into that harmonic wholeness. It's like a workout for your full spectrum. Because if you're only listening, let's say, to one kind of music, and many are like that. It's like, I only really like rap. You know, somebody like, I just don't like country. So you're only on one spectrum. But to get the whole ratio, to get the whole picture, this is another way, instead of trying to use conversation and trying to do it in your brain, The golden intonation is another way to accomplish that over a process of continuously playing something that is bringing your body, your mind, your soul into the awareness of what it's like to be whole, okay, complete, all right? So now, since this is it, it's 10:53. It looks like I did like an hour and a half. I think we coasted through that a little bit. It was lit. What I'm going to do right now, I'm going to start cranking up this giveaway. And for you to definitely be a part of this, we do this every week. Let me just get my thing loaded up here real quick. 1 second. Actually, let me just take one quick moment and get this loaded up properly rather than us having a little break in the stream. And I just really want, let's settle into what was brought forth. We're going to have this giveaway here. We got a few items. We got about 5 items to give away. And to participate in this, and this is the time to do it, all you have to do is comment in the chat. So meaning that if you have not commented in the chat in the past 5 minutes, you will not be involved in the giveaway. And that's because this system, just so we're not including people that dipped in here earlier and just left, it only picks up people from the last 5 minutes and the comments that they made. So 1 second, because this thing is it doing something? Let me see here. Okay, so it's still moving in here. It's still moving. Let me reset this page real quick. Technology be so buggy. Okay, so I'm assuming this is going to start populating here in a moment. And so I'll let it breathe. Actually, just give me a quick second here because it's not doing anything. I'm going to go to a commercial break real quick, and then I'm going to get this thing tightened up. And then when we come forward, we're going to do the giveaway. But let me see why it's not doing anything. I think there's been a little issue going on with YouTube this morning. And let me just get it correct. Let me do the tech thing and see what's up.
There are unknown forces that don't want us to realize what we are truly capable of. They don't want us to know the things we suspect are extraordinary about ourselves are real. I believe that if everyone sees what just a few people become when they wholly embrace their gifts, others will awaken. Belief in oneself is contagious. We give each other permission to be superheroes. We will never awaken otherwise. Whoever these people are who don't want us to know the truth, today they lose.
I know what this is. This is the moment we are letting on the universe.
But as we raise in vibration, as individuals do, they see more, they become more, they are more. For those who are not going to become more and bring out the best they can be, it means by joining the consciousness of the universal creator's mind. When you do this, certain facilities within your body will begin to function better, dreaming in color, precognition, knowing somebody's going to call and they do. All these things are showing you that you're going forth. If these things are not happening, you're going backwards. And that can be from the bad food, from being ignorant enough to take the shots, thinking that the shots can help you, and even the very air we breathe. Now they're putting chemtrails up into it, which contain titanium, barium, and aluminum, and that's bad for your body. So everything on this planet is being worked for bad. But the Creator has said, the planet has said, I want to be good. So for all of those problems, there are solutions. There's ways of cleaning up the chemtrails. There's ways, as I say, of taking out the bad things in the food, cleaning up your water, cleaning up your brain, your mind, and your soul. The thing is, you have to want to, have to be disciplined enough to do those things you know are right if you understand who you are and make this a better place.
Okay, wholeness and balanced vibrations. Again, thank you all for your patience. I'm going to do a couple things really briefly here, just because I see that the system has not been functioning, and there's nothing I really can do about this stuff but create my own stuff, but it's clearly consistently buggy. So because of that, I'm going to push a few links across the chat. just for those that were joining today and wanted to participate in any of the things that I mentioned that I thought were already being shared. So the first link that's actually coming across is actually to join, basically to join and become a specialist and to participate in Karma-Free Wealth, and where to get that done. Also, anybody that may be chatting or typing in the chat, I will ask right now if you can take a moment and just let some of these links come through, especially for some that want to check this out. Also, I advise probably right-clicking on the link so that way you could open it up in another window and you can check it out on your own time. So the first link that I'm going to send across is actually to become an affiliate. So if you haven't jumped into our affiliate program or you want to know more about it, that's the link that will get you in tune with that. The next link that I'm going to be sending across is actual golden intonation, which I'm going to give away a couple of those today. And if you didn't win the giveaway, but you still want to check this out, then you can use this link here. And I'm sending that across the chat now. And that link will actually allow you to get to that product. And let me check all my notes here. Okay, great. All right, so our pillars have been doing this. I am going to drop them here, though, just to finalize things. So you now have the golden intonation link if you wanted to check that out and get your harmonic balance together. Now, another link here is obviously if you like the Secret Energy podcast, you want to contribute to it, you like sowing seeds, as they call it, into fertile ground, you can definitely enjoy that. So this is actually about, this is about checking out the Secret Energy podcast on Spotify. Also, Apple Music has it. I think we got onto iHeartRadio, and then all of the other stations like Deezer and many of those. That means that if you have that RSS podcast system inside of your phone or on your computer, you can click on that feed link and get it linked up, so that way you don't miss any of the future conversations and builds. And then also you can always check out some of the past stuff, especially if you're new, you like what you heard today. This has been going on. So you can actually go through the entire podcast, which obviously has about 6 more episodes before this. And then also for those that wanted to join into today's special, we have 30% off Monatomics and She Legit, as we call it White Sunday. So if you wanted to check that out, you can actually utilize the coupon code that is now displaying in the chat in order to enjoy that. And then we also have, for those, as I was mentioning earlier, that if they wanted to support this beautiful projection, as you can see, we're always building value with others. And it's just us, though. It's like, and we take on this responsibility. So if you're out there and you want to assist us, and this, of course, is all going into the live chat right now, you can actually do so by making a contribution at the link that we just supplied. And that's always appreciated. Like, it's definitely like PBS, this situation is actually supported by those who are viewing it. And we're in this co-collective, co-creation, so you can trust that you're actually putting resources into a space that something is going to come from them. And even if you can't, that's great anyway. Like, we always build value by holding space. Just your presence alone is enough. And obviously this last link, or not so obvious, but this last link is to join Ambassador Training. Like, if you really want to do a deep dive within self, you want to learn more about Ennealogy and how you connect into your own space, especially with others, and their experience, and just to see how synchronistic life can be, you can jump in with us at Ambassador Training. We meet often. We have a live chat that takes place 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We have lots of videos that nobody has seen because they're inside the university that speak directly towards different aspects of self and how to build and grow self. And then obviously starting next year, we're going to begin soul coaching since our platform is done. And I will say that it takes time to build things, but we're going really fast. And it's not fast till we break something. It's fast to, this is as fast as it can get complete. And even when you look at Kickstarter, first of all, I also want to send a big thanks to anyone that contributed to the Mindful Fund. Thank you so much. There's obviously the Pillars page also. We may share a link for that for you to see who supported the Mindful Fund. We actually raised $70,000 to build the app. We were trying to raise $400,000. That's the quote we were given by our developers. But in getting that $70,000, we just decided to keep going with it and pay as much as we can to these developers to keep building. And I've been talking with them. You know, I tap dance. I'll be like, hey, you know, I'll tell them anything I need to tell them to actually get them to finish this, because this is something that we all need and it's very serious. And with that, if you know that Kickstarter is only capable of actually delivering on about 30% of its projects that are funded. So this literally means that 70% of the Kickstarters that get funded don't deliver. Okay. We went outside of Kickstarter because Kickstarter would not accept what we were doing. We tried to raise $400,000. We raised a quarter of that, less than a quarter of that. And we were able to deliver this project before the year ended. And we're already in there and we're already putting value in there. So I just definitely want to say thanks to those that contribute. But for those that did not, for those that would like to, I will let you know that we are definitely going forward with this, but we do need support, and it's a real thing, because at the end of the day, we got to see this in front of each other. It's got to be tangible. And because I don't see anyone else really focusing on this and doing this, no one's really talking about creating a conscious social network that we all can share with each other and all that kind of stuff. They come up with the concept sometimes and say, this is what we need, but we've deployed it and we've got it done. So if there was this thing where you didn't really trust us in the beginning and now you're here and you're seeing it done, I would recommend that maybe you revisit those ideas and actually consider contributing to what we're doing. So that's all I'm going to say about that. Let me see if this thing has managed to fix itself. I see the chat coming through. I'm not even going to respond to some of these things I see going on in chat, man. That's just, anyway, I'll go beyond that. Wow. So normally what happens here is I see this, and let me just share my screen here so everyone can and also see what's going on. I'm not sure what is really happening over on the YouTube side these days. I think they just, you know, to be honest, rather than making it a conspiracy, I think that YouTube has so many users and people trying to do things that oftentimes their APIs just get overwhelmed. So let's just let it breathe for a second and see. I'm going to open this window up. There we are. So how this is supposed to work is that everybody that's commenting here in the chat is supposed to get entered into the giveaway. We do this every week, so it always works the same way. And then what this will normally say is the eligible users, which is basically anybody that's commented within the last, according to this criteria, which is the last 5 minutes. There's no luck, there's no supporter luck, and moderators are not included. And we're only looking at active users, which I'll click at again, which are basically people that are typing. And then we're supposed to get these eligible users here, and it's supposed to say roll it, like we always do about this time, and it's not. And even when I click roll it, it's saying there are no eligible users to win the giveaway, which is ridiculous, okay? So let me refresh my screen. It seems like what I may be forced to do, let me try to increase this and see if it'll at least pull people from earlier in the conversation or something. Yeah, try to refresh that again. So what I may be forced to do is to bring all these prizes into the next session, which will be 5 additional prizes. It'll actually increase the opportunity to win. And debug this, figure out, you know, what's happening with it. Again, everything is done right. If you see the chat here, like if you don't see the chat here, nothing would work. But if you see the chat here, it means that it's supposed to be populating eligible users over here. Let me see what this is. Manage moderators, participants, pop out the chat, toggle the timestamps, whatever. So none of that has anything to do with this. So rather than hold everyone here, you know, because obviously we had a massive crescendo in this conversation today. Like there was a lot shared. There was a big build here and lots of value. So I will for sure carry these gifts over into next week, episode 8. Let me see what's up with these time frames, because we also have the Secret Energy keynote coming at the end of this year. That's on the 30th, which is a Monday. That's where we revisit the year, see what we created, how much progress we made, and also give a window into next year and what we plan to have done during that time. So next week for us is going to be, it's the 15th now, so the 22nd. I love the 22nd. Those are my birthday's on the 22nd, so I always feel like every 22nd is my birthday. And I'm just trying to talk here to see if this thing is going to fix itself, but it doesn't look like it is going to do that. And again, if I wasn't logged into the proper account, I wouldn't be able to see the chat. So unfortunately, family, unfortunately, friends that are out there, this thing is not doing what it's supposed to do. And that's not allowing me to do what I need to do. So let me, and then all the other services don't work directly with chat. So we've already been through that before. So I did my best, and that's all I can do. I'll definitely check on this next week or even after the call and see if I can play around with it a little bit and see if I can text Nightbot and see how we can make it work. I also wanted to say wholeness and balanced vibration again to everyone that is here. That's everyone that joined today. You know, I would definitely revisit this conversation because there's a lot of power that's been coming across. Like, I've definitely experienced a transformation. That's why I said I'm already in 2020. I've already activated and reactivated that other aspect of self that gets things done. So I'm looking to really keep energizing everyone and continuously bringing what we've been doing for the last 10 years, which is bringing that wholeness and being on point and leading us all into the proper level and aspects of the growth that we are to receive. So thank you so much, and I'll talk to everyone soon. Wholeness.